With us for the whole programme today is the historian Douglas Murray. Welcome back to the Daily Politics.
Good to be with you.
And if you have any thoughts or comments on anything we're discussing, then you can tweet your comments using the hashtag BBCDP. Now let's start with the government's announcement this morning that it's launching a new scheme to help home buyers in England get a mortgage on newly built properties up to the value of £500,000. The Prime Minister and his Community Secretary Eric Pickles have been out and about promoting the new buy guarantee, meeting house builders as well as couples hoping to become homeowners under the scheme. Earlier, the Housing Minister Grant Shapps explained how it'll work. Douglas Murray, just on principle, bearing in mind what has happened and how, we here are so obsessed with owning homes, is that the right line to go down? Easy for us to say, many of us own our own homes, but should we still be pushing this idea that as soon as you can afford to, you should own your own home?
Well, it's obviously everyone's dream in this country. The problem is that for my generation at least, it's pretty much become a fantasy that you could finally own your own home. It's extremely difficult to get onto the housing ladder. I mean, obviously this new initiative is very good for the building industry, but there are a lot of...
Is it better for the building industry than it might be for people trying to get on the...
Well, quite, and among other things, we've got a lot of houses in this country which are unoccupied, and which I think we should encourage people to occupy, to help them buy those houses, to do houses up, to move into areas where there aren't... where there are empty houses, and to do that perhaps before building even more houses, particularly when, the situation now in the country is that there are, as I say, huge bits of this country which really could do with an influx of people coming in to do up property. What
about the issue of the taxpayers subsidising these mortgages, even if it is, as Grant Shapps and Carol both said, in a sort of more remote way than perhaps, one might assume?
Well, of course it's a concern. I mean, your correspondent mentioned, it might be a problem if the property is, if we flatline.
Yes.
But what if there's a housing collapse? I mean, there are all sorts of lessons we should have learned from recent years about government not getting involved in this area.
Interest rates, though, could be key here, because, of course, at the moment it's affordable for many people to think that if interest rates stay at this low level, we can afford those mortgage payments. I mean, one wonders who is going to decide yet again who can have these mortgages and whether they'll be able to pay them back in the future.
The thing is, effectively, we'll be trapped. If somebody's got a 95% mortgage, you've only got the choice of keeping interest rates at the rate they're at, or of seeing massive amounts of home repossession. That is exactly what everybody will want to be avoiding.
OK. Well, let's move on. The arguments over tax are continuing. The Liberal Democrats spent the weekend squabbling amongst themselves over whether a mansion tax or a tycoon tax would be preferable in exchange for the scrapping of the 50p top rate of tax. Osborne is... it's a difficult process, this made worse, one might argue, by the fact that it's being fleshed out in public, that everybody is arguing